Sa TOS sa crop science, ito yung may pinakamaraming items. Let's talk about plant breeding. In this episode, ito yung mga i-discuss natin. We have parts of the flower, the concept of heredity, the central dogma of molecular biology, and the concept of plant breeding. So this is the flower. Flower, it is one of it is the main reproductive organ of the plant. And if you will look back sa ating dating episode which is on reproductive morphology, I discussed there in detail yung mga different variations when it comes to flowers, fruits, etc. So you can go back and watch that video. So dito, pag-uusapan natin ulit yung mga common parts of the flower, starting with, ayan, ito siya as an overview. So meron tayong stigma, style, pollen tube, ovary, and ovule. For the pistil, we have the petal, we have anther and filament, stamen, we have sepals, receptacle, stem, leaf, and ito naman yung sa vascular bundles. But now we will focus more on the reproductive organs, yung nasa flower natin. So first, let us start with sepals. So in this presentation, naglagay ako ng technical definition, naglagay din ako ng layman's term. Ayan. So ang technical definition ng sepal is that it is the outermost whorl. So if you don't know what a whorl is, you can go back to the video on reproductive morphology wherein inilagay ko doon or diniscuss ko doon kung ano yung whorl. At meron ako illustration doon na para siyang burger. Ganon. Basta yun. Go back to this video. Ayun. So, collectively, ang tawag doon sa sepals ay calyx. So, they are typically green and enclosed and protect the flower bud before it opens. So, ito, yung parang, kunwari sa gumamela, siya yung nakabalot sa gumamela bago siya bumuka, yung kulay green doon. So, that's it. It serves as a protection bago mag-bloom yung ating halaman. So, in this illustration, nakaturo siya dito ng arrow. The next one is petal. So petal, ito yung mga colorful na parts of a flower, and collectively ang tawag sa kanila on a technical aspect is corolla. So sepals ay calyx, petals ay corolla. So their purpose is to attract pollinators such as bees, birds, and butterflies. So it, of course, it varies sa kung anong flower yon, so kung anong halaman yon. So example, iba yung pollinators ng mga common flowers like gumamela compared to pollinators of cacao, pollinators of even more specialized and na mga flowers. Ayun. So next, we have stamen. So sa stamen, we have two parts nun. Ito yung male reproductive organ of the flower. So it is composed of two parts which are anther and filament. So anther, it produces and releases the pollen. So in this illustration, siya yung nandito sa taas kung nasaan yung ating mga pollen grains. And yung filament is the stalk. Yan, itong stalk na to, itong kulay orange here, that is the filament. Ang purpose niya is to hold the anther, to support the anther. Ayun. So now let's go to the female reproductive organ, which is the pistil, or also known as the carpel. So ang pistil or carpel, it is composed of four organs or four parts na nandoon, which are stigma, style, ovary, and ovule. So let's look at each one of them. First, we have the stigma. So stigma, it is the tip or the top part of the pistil, this one. The purpose of the stigma is to receive the pollen. So dyan pupunta yung pollen grain. So for example, meron tayong isang pollinator, may bee. Pupunta dito yung bee, then dadalhin niya dito. So ayun, ito yung magre-receive ng pollen. So it is the sticky part at the top of the flower's female section that catches the pollen. The next is the style. So if sa anther, meron tayong filament that holds the anther, if sa stamen, meron tayong filament that holds the anther at the top. Now, meron ding parang ganon, ang passageway, kumbaga ng female reproductive organ of the flower is yung style. So style is the slender stalk that connects the stigma to the ovary. So stigma, ayun yung nasa taas, ovary, doon magiging fertilized. So now, let's go to the ovary. So the ovary is the part of the pistil that contains the ovules, which develop into seeds upon fertilization. So if you will look at the definition of seeds, ang definition niya is a mature ovule. So ovary, ito yung nag-house sa mga ovule. This one, yung parang bilog na malaki na yan, ayan yung ovary. Then, yung ovule, ayun yung mga parang nandito sa loob. Ayan. So sila yung nagiging seeds in the future. So example, in the case of cucumber, so yung cucumber, yung ovary na yan, siya yung nagiging mismong prutas. Tapos yung mga buto na nasa loob, ayun yung dating ovule. So ovule, after fertilization, nagde-develop siya into a seed. Ayun lang yung definition ng ovule. Another term is the receptacles. So the receptacles, ito yung mga part ng flowers na nag-hold sa floral organ. So in this illustration, siya yung nasa baba. So that is the receptacle. And I think the last one is the peduncle. Yung peduncle, it is the stalk that supports the flower. So again, yung stalk na nagsusupport sa anther, ang tawag dito ay, itong orange ay filament. The stalk that connects the stigma to the ovary is called style, and the stalk that supports the whole flower is called the peduncle. Now let's go to the concept of pollination, which is a key principle when it comes to plant breeding. Pollination is the process by which the pollen from the male part of the flower, which is yung anther, doon na po-produce yung pollen, ay nira-transfer sa female part ng flower, which is yung stigma. Sabi natin kanina, siya yung nagre-receive ng pollen to enable fertilization and production of seeds. Okay. So there are two main types of pollination. We have self-pollination and we also have cross-pollination. These processes play a crucial role in plant breeding and the development of new plant varieties through hybridization. Pollination actually is like a core principle when it comes to breeding. Let's say, for example, kung walang pollination, hindi makakapag-reproduce, hindi makakapag-produce ng new varieties, etc. So basically, walang fruits, wala, etc. So, ngayon, tingnan natin yung difference between the self-pollinated plants or self-pollination and cross-pollination. So, and on a technical sphere, ang self-pollination occurs when the pollen from the anther of a flower is transferred to the stigma of the same flower. Ibig sabihin lang nito, for example, sa isang halaman, yung gumamela na lang. So kapag kunwari, yung pollen na gumamela pumasok doon sa sa stigma. So that is self-pollination. Other examples ng ayun ay para mas ma-visualize lang. Pero if we will go deeper within, sige, ang gagawin nating example ay mung bean. So ang mung bean kasi it has a very complicated flower structure. I hope na nakakita na kayo ng flower ng mung bean. And kaya siya highly self-pollinating na plant. It's because the female part and the male part are actually inside the flower. So sa loob ng flower na yun, nasa baba yung female, then meron siyang mga ganon na nandun yung male part. So, ang parang nangyayari, since nasa isang space lang sila, what's happening is that the anther easily falls to the stigma. So, mas madali sila makapag-pollinate. So, ayun yung isa sa example ng self-pollinating crops. So, same source ng anther, tas same din yung fertilize niya na stigma. So, nag-transfer lang yung pollen sa same flower. So, ayun siya. Ang advantages ng self-pollination is that it ensures reproduction even in the absence of pollinators. Kahit na walang bees, kahit walang birds, even kahit walang human, these species na self-pollinated crops, they can reproduce on its own. So, it maintains genetic consistency. Bakit siya mag-maintain ng genetic consistency? Kasi the same traits na meron doon sa halaman na yon, that same trait ay na-fertilize din or nandun din siya. So, same plant, same traits yung ma-adapt. So, kapag kunwari, meron isang plant na nag-self-pollinate, what will happen is that the traits of that same plant will be the same for the seeds na itatanim niya. Na will be the same for the seeds na mapoproduce niya na kapag tinanim mo in the future, yung characteristic ng plant na pinag self-pollinate mo, similar doon sa ma-observe mo. So let's say for example, sa corn, kunwari may corn na purple, tas may corn na orange, yung normal na corn. So, ano na to, for example lang, kapag yung purple, nag-self-pollinate siya, you transferred the anther, the pollen from the anther papunta dun sa ear, from the tassel, papunta dun sa ear ng corn, ang mangyayari, yung mapoproduce niyang mga seeds ay kulay purple din kapag itinanim mo. So, self-pollinating. Pero kapag cross-pollination naman, kunwari pinag-cross mo yung orange tapos yung purple. So, what will happen is that there is a possibility na yung mapoproduce niya na corn ear ay merong purple, merong orange. Ganon. So in self-pollination, meron genetic consistency. Sa cross-pollination, makikita natin later. So the disadvantage of self-pollination is that it limits genetic diversity. Ano ibig sabihin nun? Siyempre, kapag kunwari, nag-self-pollinate ka, ang gusto natin in plant breeding is that mas marami tayong options for us to choose the parents for the next generation. So, ayun yung gusto natin sa plant breeding kasi meron tayong tinatawag na selection. So, sa selection, mas gusto natin na meron genetic diversity. Yan, which can make plants more susceptible to diseases and environmental changes. So, kapag kasi walang genetic diversity, possible na kunwari, itong halaman na to, sobrang dali niyang magkasakit. So, kung mag-self-pollinate lang siya, yung next na mga plants na maipoproduce niya, ay madali rin na magkasakit. So, ayun yung disadvantage ng self-pollination. Well, on the other hand, tingnan na naman natin yung cross-pollination. So, if self-pollination, same plant, cross-pollination, transfer of pollen to another plant. Ayun lang yun. So, cross from the term itself. Tingnan natin yung advantages and disadvantage. So, advantage, it increases genetic diversity. In the field of breeding, we want genetic diversity, katulad nga na sinabi ko kanina, which can lead to greater resilience and adaptability. So, ito yung reason ng plant breeding. Kasi, as of now, hindi naman lahat ng mga halaman na nandiyan ay merong magagandang karakteristik lahat. So what we want to do is to develop plants or hybrids or varieties na yung plants na yon ay mixture ng good characteristics of parents of different plants. For example, may plant na sobrang taas ng yield, may plant na sobrang ano ito? Ano yung isang term? Sobrang, oh my gosh, mataas yung resistance, sorry, mataas yung resistance niya sa sakit. Yung isa naman, color na gusto ng mga consumers. So, ang gusto natin sa plant breeding is that we mix all of this para magkaroon tayo ng isang plant na meron yung tatlong characteristic na yon. So, that's the principle kaya tayo nagko-cross-pollination. So, this can result in plants with improved traits like higher yield or better disease resistance. So, ang disadvantage nito, it requires the presence of pollinators, that's one, or favorable environmental conditions to transfer the pollen. In our next episode, we will talk about the basic procedures of plant breeding, wherein makikita natin how humans intervene when it comes to plant breeding. So example na ito is that we do like the transfer of pollen, we do emasculation, and we transfer the pollen from a good plant papunta sa gusto natin na female na plant, something like that. So more of that on the next episode. So now, here's the concept of hybridization. So hybridization in plant breeding is the deliberate crossing of two genetically different plants to produce a hybrid with desirable traits from both parents. So basically, ito yung technical term doon sa sinabi ko kanina, yung kinwento ko na, okay, kailangan mong tanggalin yung male part, tapos ano mo yung female part, something like that. So, ang tawag doon is hybridization. This can be achieved through controlled cross-pollination. Ayan. So deliberate, so intentional siyang ginagawa ng mga plant breeders natin. So ito na yung human intervention na sa isang field, syempre maraming lalabas traits, tas mamimili sila ano yung gusto kong ipag-cross na dalawang halaman. So titignan nila kung makukuha ba nila yung gustong traits ng dalawang halaman dito sa bagong sa halaman na susunod. Yung parang parents, tapos magkakaroon sila ng anak, ano ba yung traits na ito? Ayun. So that's hybridization. Now, let's go to the concept of heredity. When I took the licensure exam back in 2023, nagulat ako na may mga questions on the basic concepts in genetics, which we took actually from our senior high school or even grade 8, I think meron tong mga to. So we will just run through all of them. Titingnan natin yung mga different terms and ano yung meaning nila. Kasi minsan ganun lang yung lumalabas. For example, control the traits of an organism. Minsan ganun lang talaga yung lumalabas na question. So dapat alam mo na yan siya. So first, we have genes. So genes control the traits of an organism, including appearance, function, reproduction, and even behavior. So the totality of the genes, for example, ikaw, ayan, meron kang totality ng genes ng lahat ng characteristics mo, ang tawag doon ay genome. So example, sa ibang crops, we have the rice genome, the corn genome. So yung totality ng mga traits na meron sila, ng mga genes na nagko-control sa kanya, ang tawag doon ay genome. So genes are written in a language that is called the genetic code. This code is based on the DNA or the deoxyribonucleic acid molecule. So ano nga ba yung laman ng DNA? So we have here 4 bases, which are adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine. So yung ATCG, so A pairs with T and C pairs with G. So the DNA is a double helix structure with nitrogenous bases. So yung mga yan, nitrogenous bases yung mga yan. And meron siyang, may mga structure pa siya dyan sa gilid which are pentose sugar, etc. Pero sige, wag na natin siya anuhin para medyo paano na yun eh. So basically, ito yung genes ay nasa loob ng DNA, then yung DNA ay nasa chromosomes. Ganon siya. So ang pinakamaliit dito yung genes. Genes ay nasa loob ng DNA, yung DNA nasa loob ng chromosomes. Remember that. So here are some of basic genetics terms. We have variation. When we say variation, pagkakaiba. Ayun lang yun. Change in traits passed along from parents to offspring. So, for example, ano tawag dito? Yung parent, ganito yung kanyang trait, tapos pagdating sa offspring niya or yung anak niya, in layman's term, ay nag-iba yung trait na yun. So that is called variation. Next, we have phenotype. So phenotype naman, physical appearance in terms of morphology, physiology, and behavior. What are the characteristics that you can observe sa isang organism? Kung ano yung nakikita mo, ayun yung phenotype. Then we also have genotype. So genotype naman is the genetic constitution that an individual inherits. So ano yung genetic code? Ano yung nasa DNA mo? So that is called genotype. Then we also have allele. So ito lumabas to ay I think, oo yata lumabas yata siya dati. So, an allele is one of two or more versions of a gene that are found at the same place or locus on a chromosome. So, yung locus, ang meaning lang niyan, location. Ayan. So, allele is like a different version of the same gene. So just as a car can come in different colors but is still the same model. So let's say for example, ayun nga, just katulad ng isang kotse, pwede naman na pareha silang Toyota Vios pero yung isa kulay white, yung isa kulay red, parang ganon. So ganon yung isipin yung allele. Ayun, so a gene can come in different versions which we call allele. So let's say for example, this one. We have the dominant allele, we have recessive allele. So dominant, ito for sure napag-aralan natin ito ng grade 11. So yung alleles in genetics, kapag malaki, which is represented by a letter, so ayun yung dominant allele. Kapag maliit, ayun yung recessive allele. So dominant allele is an allele that expresses its trait even if only one copy is present. So let us say for example, dominant, P na malaki, then P na malaki, so that is dominant. And P na malaki and P na maliit, that is, anong tawag dito? That will still result doon sa trait nung malaki. So, let's go deeper later. Tingnan natin. So, ang recessive allele naman, an allele that expresses its trait only if two copies are present. So, it is represented by a lowercase letter. So, for example, itong P na maliit, kapag P na dalawang maliit yan, magiging kulay white. Ayun yung trait, kumbaga. And then, we also have these terms, homozygous and heterozygous. When we say homozygous, these are dalawang identical na alleles for a particular gene na parehas. For example, parehas na malaki, parehas na maliit. So, those are, it will be a homozygous na trait. And we also have heterozygous, which is two different alleles for a particular gene. Hetero, magkaiba. So, P na malaki, P na maliit. So, tingnan natin siya sa Punnett square. So, ang dominant allele, ito siya, yung big A. Recessive allele, yung small. So, itong AA na malaki, ang tawag dyan ay homozygous dominant. Again, homozygous kasi pareha silang malaki, dominant. Heterozygous, this one and this one, they are different. So, merong A na malaki, may A na maliit. So, heterozygous, magkaiba. Then, we also have homozygous recessive. So, homozygous, kasi pareha silang maliit. Recessive, kasi maliit. Ayun. So, in this case, let's say, for example, we crossed these two organisms. Ito yung traits ng mother, ito yung traits ng father. Ang meaning lang niyan, kaya siya kinocross na ganyan, ito yung percentage or chance kung ano yung characteristic na lalabas sa anak nila. So let us say, kulay, ang A na malaki, ang dominant na allele na A na malaki ay kulay, ano ba nilagay ko dito sa ano? Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Siguro, gawin na lang natin na yung A na malaki ay kulay purple. Yung A na maliit ay kulay white. So, pag pinag-cross mo yan, ibig sabihin ito, dalawang A na malaki. So, ang phenotype niyan, o ang ma-observe mo dyan ay kulay purple. Tapos nasabi natin kanina, ang dominant allele, kahit isa lang yung present sa kanya, yung pa rin yung characteristic na makikita mo. So, itong A na malaki at A na maliit, itong dalawang to, ay kulay purple pa rin. Then, kung ang A na maliit ay kulay white, ito lang yung makikita natin na kulay white. So, there is this square here na meron yung ganyan kalaking chance na magiging kulay white yung anak nitong dalawang parents na ito. So, ngayon, tingnan naman natin. In terms of the phenotype, we can say na itong tatlong box na to, purple yan, itong isang box na to ay white. So let's convert it into percentage. So ang ano lang na ito, itong apat na boxes na to, it represents 100%. So in this situation, we have a 75%. Bakit 75? 25% to, 25% to, 25% to, 25% to. Dahil tatlo yung nagre-result sa purple, there is a 75% chance na yung anak netong dalawang ito ay kulay purple. And there is a 25% chance na ang anak nila ay kulay white. So that's how you use this concept of the Punnett square and the alleles in solving ganyan, mga ganyang problems. Now let's go to the central dogma of molecular biology. I wouldn't really dive deeper here. Gusto ko lang tandaan nyo to. Maglalagay lang ako ng mga different, anong tawag dito? Definitions dyan ng mga processes na to. Pero ito lang to. Ang central dogma of molecular biology is that through DNA replication, yung DNA, pinaparami, tapos tinatranscribe siya. So, yung DNA magiging RNA through the process of transcription. Then, yung RNA, tinatranslate siya into protein. Okay, so ang endpoint ay protein. Tapos, bawat trait na meron yung halaman, is dictated by a certain protein. Ayun lang yun. So, bali ito yung processes kaya tayo nagkakaroon ng mga protein na nagdidictate ng traits natin. For example, keratin. Keratin, yung sa hair natin. So it is a protein. So there is a certain type of genes na nandiyan. Merong mga proteins na nandiyan. So it dictates even the color of our hair. Kaya di ba merong ibang mga lahi na ganito yung kulay ng kanilang hair. Yung mga iba kulay black lang, iba white, iba blonde, etc. There's a specific protein that codes for that. And that is happening through this process of the central dogma of molecular biology. And that is not only applicable for plants, it is applicable for humans, for animals, even for microorganisms. So, kaya siya central dogma of molecular biology. Yeah, so key components lang, we have the DNA and the RNA. The DNA is the molecule that holds the genetic blueprint of an organism. Tapos yung RNA, single-stranded. Ayun na yung kanilang difference. DNA, double-stranded. RNA, single-stranded. Then key components in the process of, I think, transcription. And yung sa buong process na to, we have the mRNA, the messenger RNA. Siya yung nagki-carry ng genetic information. Kaya siya messenger, carry genetic information. Transfer RNA naman, it transfer amino acid to the ribosome. Then yung ribosomal DNA, doon nangyayari yung protein synthesis. So in this illustration, itong linya na to, this is the messenger RNA. Dala-dala niya yung genetic code. Itong mga to, itong tatlong to, yung tatlong yan, ang tawag dyan ay transfer RNA. And itong dalawa na nasa taas, tsaka nasa baba, and yung site of protein synthesis, it is the ribosomal RNA. So I think the better way for you to really capture the idea of the central dogma of molecular biology is through another video. I will not discuss it in detail here, pero I want you to watch the video that I will link below sa comment section para mas makita nyo. And that video is almost 10 or 15 years old na. And ayun, helpful naman siya. So hindi ko na siya i-discuss through these slides. Ayan. Now, punta na tayo sa connection netong mga to sa plant breeding. So the central dogma of molecular biology explains how genes are expressed at the molecular level, leading to the production of proteins that carry out various functions in the cell, and also traits, actually, ng isang halaman. So ano nga ba kasi yung plant breeding? So plant breeding is the art, the science, and the business of improving the genetic makeup of crops to increase productivity. So if you will look at it, all of the things that we are studying here, especially in crop no, in agriculture in general, it is all pointing towards productivity. It is all pointing towards higher yield. And ayun yung gusto natin sa agriculture, to increase productivity. And yung plant breeding, siya yung ginagamit natin para mas magaganda na yung mga halaman natin. Ganon. Kung resistant sa disease, resistant sa ganito, sa insects, etc. So generally, it involves intercrossing individuals with desirable traits. Ayun yung sinasabi ko kanina, napipiliin mo yung nanay, pipiliin mo yung tatay, then yung anak nila, hopefully, or hindi siya hopefully, through science, ang kakalabasan niya is a mixture of these different characteristics na meron yung nanay tsaka yung tatay. Ayun. So, subsequently selected through several generations. The problem with, hindi naman problem, the thing about plant breeding is that matagal siyang gawin. Lalo na through conventional method. Like it takes, I think, 10 to 12 years just to produce one variety. But then now, with the advancement of technology through biotechnology, modern techniques like PCR, genetic coding, yung mga yan, gel electrophoresis, and everything na meron sa biotechnology, ayun, so mas napapadali siyang gawin. Ayun. So we will discuss that on another video. So in plant breeding, the success relies on genetic variability. Sabi natin kanina when we started this video sa self and cross-pollination, we want genetic variability. We want variation, which means kailangan maraming options. Sabi nga sa Four Sisters in a Wedding, options, options, options. So, ayun yung magandang baseline ng plant breeding is that maparami yung options para mas maraming pagpipilian ng parents na pipiliin mo for the next generation na magkakaroon ng traits ng next generation. Ganun lang siya. So, the process of plant breeding is actually 90 to 95% selection, which is pagpili lang yan ng parents, and 5 to 10% hybridization, which is the actual plant breeding itself. So ayun siya, ganun ka kaya mahalaga na meron genetic variability. So these are just the terms, the definition of terms. We have genetics, the branch of biology that studies heredity and variation. We have breeding, which is the activity of controlling the mating and production of offspring. And we have selection, the process of selectively propagating plants with desirable characteristics. Yeah, so if you want to copy that, you can just pause the video and copy it. Okay, so now let's talk about this formula. I think I have already introduced this in the topic factors affecting crop production. We have P, which stands for phenotype. Kanina rin, dinasasari natin kanina. We also have G, which stands for genotype, and E, environment. And here in this portion is the interaction between the genotype and environment. If you want to have a further discussion on this, you can go back to the discussion on factors affecting plant production, crop production. I think sa part 1, doon ko siya diniscuss. So phenotype, ito yung appearance or measurement ng isang character. Ano ba yung kulay niya? Gaano ba siya kalaki? Marami ba siyang kernels? Ano yung nutrients niya? So dun, yung mga yon ay nag-fall under phenotype. Then we also have genotype. This is the genetic constitution of an individual. Ano yung nasa genes niya? Inuulit na lang natin. And environment. Basically, every factor that we have discussed dun sa factors affecting crop production na abiotic, so that constitutes the environment. It comprises all external factors that can influence the expression of the genes controlling the character. And of course, we have the interaction between the genotype and the environment. Na yung mismong nasa buto or nasa plant mismo at yung environment, meron silang interaction na nangyayari. Ayan. And last, plant genetic resources. Ang plant genetic resources, these are any plant genetic materials for actual or potential value for food and agriculture. So, ano siya? Para siyang collection ng different seeds na pwedeng gamitin sa agriculture. Ayun yung plant genetic resources. Kaya let's say for example, meron tayong mga tinatawag na gene banks, mga seed vaults, kung saan, example, sa PhilRice, I guess, meron doong isang room na meron mga buto from different provinces in the Philippines with years. Ayun. So, nandun kung kailan siya ginawa, kung kailan siya tinanim or inane, mga ganyan. Then, kung saan galing. So, as a society or as a global, meron din tayong ganyan. Meron tayong global seed vault na nasa, I think, Norway yata. I'm gonna comment na lang if mali yung Norway. Iko-comment ko sa baba. Pero I think Norway yon. Meron tayong Global Seed Vault kung saan lahat ng mga plant breeders sa buong mundo, nagko-contribute sila doon ng mga seeds para someday kapag nagkaroon ng famine, etc., meron pagkukuha na ng seed para para i-revive yung mga different species na to. So, ayan. And that's it for this video. If I helped you understand these concepts more for your licensure exam, you can just click the like, subscribe, and notification bell for you na ma-notify pa rin sa mga next videos ng Yabong Pilipinas. I am targeting to upload new videos during Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So MWF tayo. And if you have a friend na gusto mong pumasa ng licensure exams with you, kindly share this to them. And ayun, para makapag-aral kayo together and maging licensed agriculturist, registered agriculturist kayo together. And I think that's it for this video. Thank you very much for listening. I hope I helped you and see you in the next one. Bye.